In this video, we'll be tying Frank's flashy Nymph. This fly was developed by a friend of mine, Frank Drummond. I tie it a little bit differently than he does, but the end result is almost exactly the same. I'll show you the differences as we go along. First step after we've started the thread is to tie in copper wire. I'm using brassy size here, and we're going to tie this down almost to the middle of the bend. Next, we'll add pheasant tail for the tail and shell back on this fly, and I'm going to use about a dozen or so fibers for that. So we'll tie that in right down here, keeping it on top. The length of the tail should be about the length of the hook shank. And we'll wrap this up all the way to the bead. And then we'll wrap it back down the shank to the point where the tail is tied in. For the underbody, we'll use an orange holographic tinsel. Now this is one of the differences from Frank's pattern. He used several strands of crystal flash to do this, but I find that the single strand of tinsel is a little bit easier. Notice that I like to turn my vise upside down for this operation. It's easier to see what you're doing, and the hook point is less in your way. Okay, once we've got that tied in, trim off the excess. I'm going to bring my thread back to just behind the point of the hook. I'll pull that pheasant tail up over the top and wrap it right all the way up to the bead and trim off the excess. Return my thread to that point, turn my vise upside down again, and oops, don't want to get that tail messed up. And rib that shell back with good tight turns of wire, and that'll keep it right up on top of the underbody. Tie that wire off and then break it off. Now, to go back to the original part of Frank's pattern, I'm going to tie in 6 or 8 strands of appropriately colored crystal flash. And I'm going to separate that out into 2 equal bunches. Then I'm going to take another bundle of pheasant tail fibers, and I'm going to put them in the center of that V, as you can see there, sticking out over the bead, and those will become my legs slash wing buds. Okay, and the butt ends there will become the wing case. Now I've got 3 pieces of peacock herl, and this will become the thorax. You want those turns of peacock to get right tight up to the bead. Now, trim out the excess. I'm also now going to split the pheasant tail fibers half on one side, half on the other side, along with that crystal flash. Pull the wing case over the top. Hold everything in place. Trim out the excess of the wing case. Now we can finish that off. Whip finish. And the fly is almost complete. You can see that the tips of that pheasant tail and the crystal flash are splayed out to the sides. So what we want to do now is trim the crystal flash to the length of the pheasant tail. So now we have the legs and the crystal flash tied back along the sides of the body, and that's your Frank's Flashy Nymph. I get a lot of requests for tying this fly in the shop, and it's very effective. I fish it a lot with a pink San Juan worm dropper, also fish it frequently with a midge, larva, or pupa dropper as well. So there you go, Frank's Flashy Nymph, a very effective fly. Thanks for watching.